I was born by the special will of heaven to restore the lost age of chivalry. I am Don Quixote de la Mancha.
And cut right there. Good work.
So last night, I got to see Terry Gilliam's The Man Who Killed Don Quixote. This is the story of a commercial director named Toby, played by Adam Driver, who is working on a commercial shoot in Spain while going through a bit of a midlife crisis. One night during the shoot, he comes across a copy of an old student film he made called The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, and in a search for creativity, he travels to the small town where he shot the film and comes across many people that he used to work with on the set, but most importantly, he comes across the man he cast as Don Quixote, played by Jonathan Pryce, who in the years since filming has become convinced that he is actually the character, and when he sees Toby is convinced that he is Sancho Panza. So the film basically follows Toby's adventures alongside this man who he gave this sort of delusion of grandeur and the way that it transforms him as well. This is a movie that Gilliam wanted to make for about 30 years. He started writing the script in the late 80s and was constantly beset by financial issues, insurance backers pulling out, producers being terrible. The list goes on for a very long time. There's actually a title card at the beginning of this movie that says, "And now, after 25 years in the making and unmaking," so they have clearly wanted to get this out for a while, and it's finally here. It was presented as a one-night screening through Fathom Events, so thanks to them for putting it out there. The resulting film is a bit of a mixed bag. While it is very emotionally satisfying to finally see something that you worked so hard for finally up on the big screen after so much time, it still feels a little underwhelming when just looking at the movie as a whole. There are a lot of things going on in this film, and it becomes really difficult to figure out what they're trying to get across. There are so many plot points or ideas that come up, and they're really interesting. There's a scene where Quixote and Toby come across a representation of the Knight of Mirrors character that originally showed up in the book. It's a really cool concept how they work with this character. Like, his mirrors, the reflections around him, are created by just a bunch of CDs that he wears, which is a really nice touch. And when they take off the mask, it's the people from the town who are trying to convince him to come back, which makes sense, you know, it's what they did in the book. But they do this whole thing where they tell Toby, you know, "This is what your film does to people, it ruins our lives." And they never go anywhere with that. It's really a wasted opportunity because there's some great questions that get raised up throughout the course of this, and they just get ignored in favor of other plot points. There are so many ideas that they put into this film that none of them really get much of a payoff at the end, and it's difficult to tell exactly what kind of thing they're trying to say. Although you do get a good sense of it once the film draws to its conclusion. With that being said, this film is marvelous to look at. Everything from the set design to the costumes to the occasional special effects, they are wondrous, which is not really surprising considering Terry Gilliam's background. I've only seen a few of his works and all the stuff from Monty Python, but there are a lot of things that really delivered in whatever I could have expected from him, although I kind of wish that there were a little bit more of those. There's a scene where Quixote is looking at a bunch of wine casks, and they develop these like weird CG faces that he starts stabbing at, which is really funny, and it's just a really good use of that whimsical imagery that Gilliam is known for. There's also a scene where Adam Driver and a bartender are speaking in Spanish. It's the only subtitled moment in the movie, and eventually Driver just goes, wait, you know what? We don't need these, and he literally pushes the subtitles out of the screen, and you never see them again for the rest of the movie. It's a really funny touch, and I kind of wish that the movie had more of those. You know, it's a very whimsical concept, and it could have really used that little extra touch. The Man Who Killed Don Quixote has the potential to be this really exciting adventure full of whimsy and interesting characters, and there are flashes of that, and it makes you wish that there were more of those, because the rest of it is honestly a bit of a bummer. Jonathan Pryce's character is really fun to watch the whole time. He's just so committed to being like as all out as possible, but you never really know if you want to go along with this character or if you want to feel bad for him. This is probably one of my favorite performances from Adam Driver, though, in recent memory, because he is so committed to every single thing that's going on around him. His reactions to all the situations he finds themselves in are fantastic. They are completely believable. Honestly, I would have found myself thinking the same things if I was suddenly encountering the Spanish Inquisition, because nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. The downside to Driver's character is that it feels like Toby never really gets a lot of development over the course of the film. We do see him in a different place from where he began, although it's not the kind of place you expect him to end up when the movie started. It feels like they started writing the script and then decided, wait, what if this happened to him, while forgetting to adjust what they had previously written so that it ties in with all the rest of it. There is a nice little narration that starts and ends the film that does tie in a good theme of these stories living forever. You can't really kill them off, but it feels like something they forgot while they were midway through the script and then remembered, oh wait, we can tie this back together. There's a whole bunch of supporting characters in this too that are really nowhere near as developed as they have the potential to be. The most unfortunate offender is the female lead in this film. The actress's name is Joanna Ribeiro. She plays a girl that Toby found while scouting in the town, and he decided to cast her in a bunch of scenes and convince her that she had the potential to be an actress. So once they finished filming, she ran off and tried to do some modeling and ended up becoming an escort. And so the whole second half of the film feels like a plot to rescue her from this plight, which unfortunately doesn't really give her that much to do. She really exists just as a plot point for these other characters, which is kind of unfortunate because I really like this actress. She does great work with what she's given, and I just wish they'd given her more to do. I would recommend this film probably if you're a fan of Terry Gilliam's work that came before this, but unfortunately the theatrical window for this film has passed. I do hope that this finds a life on Blu-ray or streaming, because I think there is something satisfying in seeing something that was gestating in development hell for so long finally come to see the light. That is worth taking a look at, and the film is, as I mentioned, a visual marvel. It just suffers from a very muddled story that tries to hit too many points and often forgets which points it's trying to hit. That might be up your alley. Like, honestly, I would look at this movie again just for the visuals alone, but personally, I'm going to give this movie 2.5 stars out of 4, and that is what I have to say about The Man Who Killed Don Quixote. Hey there folks, thank you so much for watching. This is the first review I've attempted on YouTube. I've been doing this for a few years now on my blog, which you can find at typicalhollywood.com. I'm going to be reviewing as many movies as I can in the future. I have a few planned in the weeks to come, and there'll also be like some little editorial pieces on other movies that aren't in theaters right now that I think are worth taking a look at, or just other aspects of cinema in general. So if you like what you saw here and you want to keep following along, you can click the button below me to subscribe and be the first to find out when I have new stuff coming out. I don't have a set schedule for any of this, but you'll get a notification when there is a new video up. So thank you again for watching. Hope to see you again soon.